Long time no see, fish folk. Austin here with Fintastic Freaks. So obviously I've done a couple of fish room tour videos in the past here on my channel. However, since I have quite a few tanks, 22 to be precise right now in total, only 18 of them are inhabited, but nonetheless, it's kind of hard to go in full detail on all those tanks. Otherwise, those videos would be way too long. So in this video, I want to begin a series of showing off my tanks individually or just a couple per video, so we can go in a little more depth of the fish and even the plants or what I've done with the tank, and maybe even add some fish facts and tips in terms of care and like how big they get. So if you're considering maybe keeping some of these fish that I have here in my fish room itself, you can know a few things about them. It seems like you guys really like the fish room tours. So in response to that, we're going to go ahead and do a little more depth in the tanks, starting with the Pea Puffer tank. The reason why I chose these guys first is that these are the fish that kind of enhanced my drive for the fish keeping hobby, as it's the first ever freshwater puffer species that I ever owned. Fast forward to the present, I currently now own 4 species of freshwater puffer. Though just saying, number 5 might be on the way soon. Stay tuned for that. So pea puffers, also known as pygmy puffers or dwarf Indian puffers, this is about as big as they get. They only get about an inch big. Thus, at first I had this trio in a 10-gallon tank, and now I currently have 3. I did once upon a time have 4. One of them, though, sadly has disappeared, and I have no idea where he's gone to. But nonetheless, currently I have 3 inside this 20-gallon hex tank. And as you can see here, they're a little fish, but they pack a big personality, just like what a Maboo puffer or a Fahaka puffer or any other puffer that shows that personality. Even with saltwater, these pea puffers can give you exactly that. And obviously the main plus of them is they don't need that big of a tank. As for the plants in this tank, as you can see towards the top of my, if I remember correctly, I believe that's Malaysian bogwood, or we'll just call it driftwood though. I have some Java moss stuck up on there, which has really grown quite well. Over here toward the side you can see got a Java fern over here, also a great plant to add on to driftwood. Also got a Rotala indica in a few spots, got some there in the back as you can see, and this long tall guy here is a giant Val. I've given some care tips and such in previous videos, but I'll go ahead and give some here again. I'll start off by saying that if you're considering any kind of freshwater puffer, where if it's like say Amazon or South American puffers, a dragon puffer, a Fahaka, a Maboo, spotted Congo, whatever it might be, I would highly recommend get you some pea puffers first, as they are a great introduction to freshwater puffer keeping. As I said before, one plus of them is they don't get very big. You can easily fit 3 of them in a 10-gallon tank, or I'd say probably 5, maybe 6 in a 20-gallon tank, depends on the dimensions of that tank. The other plus is, unlike many other species of puffers, saltwater or fresh, you don't have to worry about keeping their teeth ground down. They don't have those continuously growing beak-like teeth. And though they'll still appreciate snails and foods such as that are hard and crunchy, it's not as essential or mandatory as a lot of other puffers are. Outside of small snails, I give my pea puffers a lot of bloodworms. They also like brine shrimp as some other things. They don't really take freeze-dried foods, and I've yet to hear of any of them taking flake foods. So frozen foods or live snails, to me, would be the best routes to go. And along with all the other aquarium recommendations I made before, even if you have like a column tank like what I have, they're also a fantastic fish for that, because as I said earlier, they only grow to about an inch. So the size you see them right here in this video, that's about all the bigger they get. They might get a pinch bigger, but other than that, that's about all there is. Regardless if you put them in a 10-gallon or a 20 long, 20 normal, or some sort of column or hex tank of sorts, whatever, make sure you got some things like, for example, my driftwood or some tall plants that can help break up the line of sight, just in case you got multiple males in there, as it also helps divide up the tank, provide more territory for the fish to distribute amongst themselves, thus bring down the likelihood of having problems with fighting and fin nipping. And as I said before, these guys may be little bitty things, but they pack a big personality, and that's easily a big reason why they're one of my favorite fish of anything in the entire hobby, and a big reason also why I became such a sucker for pufferfish. One final note that I will say about these little puffers is they are a scaleless fish, thus make sure that your water parameters are good. Something I do to kind of help that out is I put 2 different types of filtration there. I got a 25-gallon sponge filter right there. Good thing to help with some biological filtration. Plus it also provides aeration for the tank. Puts oxygen in the water. I also got a hang on the back tank here that's supposed to do up to 30 gallons on its own. So this little 20-gallon tank has a little over 50 gallons filtering the water, which I always say, unless your fish are getting sucked into the filter or having difficulty swimming whatsoever, there is no such thing as too much filtration. Staying on the puffer subject, one more tank I'll go ahead and show you in this video is in the tank where those pea puffers used to be, but now it's inhabited by a different species of puffer. And here is that other puffer right here. This is Harry Potter, the hairy puffer. So to start off, I will say, my hairy puffer is kind of an oddball to his kin, as typically he would not be greeting me and begging me for food up towards the top and front of the glass. Normally, he'd like to be down there, buried in the sand or hiding behind one of those plants. As in the wild, or typically even in aquaria, these guys are ambush predators, thus they would rather be hidden. Yeah, usually they like to hide just like that, and wait upon like an unfortunate snail or smaller fish to come around, and boom, dinner is served. If you look along the substrate, you can perhaps see there are some snail shells down there that are bitten up a bit and no longer acquired by anything living. He does occasionally go and surprise some snails, but for the most part, my little guy here likes to eat frozen krill. He also likes ghost shrimp. In terms of plants in here, got a couple of what I believe is called cherry bushes. That right there is a Amazon sword. We also have a crypt in there, but snails and shrimp tend to try to hide there whenever I put them in there. Hence why there's only 2 leaves left. Over here we have an Anubias, and back there is a very young water sprite growing by our heater there. In terms of size, this guy will max out at around 6 inches, so while this 10-gallon tank here will serve him for a decent amount of time, I will eventually have to upgrade him a little bit. I personally plan to give him something along the line of a 30-some gallon cube, as though you saw earlier he likes to greet me towards the front of the glass. I anticipate that towards as he gets bigger, just gonna moon us here, huh, buddy? Anyway, as I was saying, these guys max out around 6 inches, so I'm thinking about a 30-some gallon cube or so. Otherwise, a 20 long might work well for these guys, as long as obviously they have enough room to turn around, which a 20 long should provide plenty of that. But just in case they do get a little explorative, they got a little room to go side to side, which I'm thinking as this little guy matures, he won't want to greet me as much as the front of the glass as he does now. But then again, that might just be something that this personal fish does. So as we go along, we'll learn what he likes to do and such, and accommodate him to what works best for this specific fish. In terms of temperature of their water, tropical parameters work pretty well usually, so anything between 72 or 79. I usually keep the thermometer around 77 or so. Filtration, we just have the one sponge filter. It's a 25-gallon sponge filter. Once I move him into his other tank, or once he gets bigger, I'll probably add some more filtration. Little fun fact about my hairy puffer here is I've noticed already with the snails I throw in there, as you can see, there are some clusters of them in there already. What he does, I've noticed, is sometimes I'll drop little ones in there and he'll wait for them to get bigger, then he'll eat them. He waiting for them to fatten themselves up, then he strikes. So fish folk, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off as part 1 right here. If you like this little tank profile, go ahead and let me know. And hey, if you got something that you'd like to see next, maybe we talk about the goldfish here next, or the angels back there. Maybe we go and continue our puffer trend. After all, we do have currently 2 more species of puffer in here, but as I said earlier, just saying, stay tuned. We got number 5 coming here probably pretty soon here. But again, if you like this little tank profile video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you want to see next, or if you have a preference in the comments below. And if you haven't already and are new to the channel maybe, consider clicking the subscribe button to stay in the loop with everything I do, along with more tank profile videos coming up, and lots more coming up here in the future. Until the next video, fish folk, stay fantastic.